A system of equations is when we have two or more equations together and we graph them on the same graph and see where those lines cross. If the lines cross, that point of intersection where they cross is the solution. So if we graph two lines on the same graph and see where they intersect, we'll have a number for x and a number for y that make the ordered pair for the location of that point. That will give us our solution, our x number and our y number. If we graph the two and they don't cross because they're parallel, that would mean that they have no solution, since there's no point of intersection. Also, if we graph the two lines and they end up being the same line where one overlaps the other, that means that they cross everywhere or intersect everywhere, so there would be infinite solutions. We're going to practice graphing two lines and seeing where they cross to find the solution. If they cross. If they don't cross, it would have no solution. If they end up being the same line that overlaps, there would be infinite solutions. So when we solve the equations x plus y equals 3 and y equals 1/2 x by graphing, means we're going to graph the first line, then graph the second line, and see where they intersect or where they cross. Now in order to graph these, we're going to put them in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. So we're going to solve for y on that top equation and subtract x on both sides to get y equals 3 minus x. Now for slope-intercept form, we want to have that in the other order, so we're going to rewrite that as y equals negative x plus 3. Remember that means there's only one x, so negative 1x plus 3. The number in front of the x, in this case an invisible 1, since there's 1x there we don't write the 1, but we think about that as negative 1x. Our slope would be negative 1 over 1. That means we're going to go down 1 over 1 when we graph it. Our y-intercept is the number that doesn't have an x, the 3, and it's always where x equals 0, so we're going to have the point 0, 3. To graph this, we start at the y-intercept, the point 0, 3, and then we would go down 1 over 1 using our slope to get other points on our line. Now we're only halfway done. We need to graph the second equation, y equals 1/2 x. We need to have a number with x for the slope and a number without x to be the y-intercept. Since there is no number at the end, that means it's adding 0. So our slope would be 1/2, go up 1 over 2. Our y-intercept would be 0, 0, since the x-coordinate is always 0, and in this case the y number is also 0. So we would start at the center of our graph and then go up 1 over 2. Now that we have both of these lines graphed, we need to see where they intersect at the point 2, 1, which means that the x value is 2 and the y value is 1, since the x-coordinate comes first on the x-axis and the y value comes second on the y-axis. For this next example, we're going to follow the same instructions. We're going to graph both equations on our graph, see where they cross, and find our solution. Since we don't have slope-intercept form on that top equation, 2x plus 4y equals negative 6, we have to solve for y first so we can find our slope and our y-intercept. Now remember, subtracting 2x on both sides and then dividing by 4 will get the y by itself. And so we can see that the number with the x, negative 1/2, is our slope. And the number without the x, negative 1.5, is our y-intercept. So we're going to start at 0, negative 1.5, which means we're going to go down 1.5. And then our slope is negative 1 over 2, so we go down 1 over 2 to graph our line. Now that we've graphed the first line, we're going to graph the second one. Luckily, it's already in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. We've got y equals negative 2x minus 3, which means negative 2 is our slope, which we put over 1 to go down 2 over 1. And our y-intercept is negative 3, so we start at the point negative 3 and go down 2 over 1 to graph this. Once we've graphed both points, we see where they cross, and that will be our solution. Since negative 1 is our point, that means x is negative 1 and y is also negative 1.